Now, its cross-border situation remains alarming 4 years after devastating famine, with the number of people requiring emergency aid rising to 17% to more than 850,000. Peter D. Clercq, the Deputy Special Representative of the United Nations Secretary General for Somalia, described the humanitarian situation in the country as very fragile.
Although things have improved since 2011, famine in Somalia humanitarian needs remain vast and the number of people in need of humanitarian assistance continues to fluctuate around 3 million. The ability to absorb shocks, whether conflict or natural disasters, is very limited. Among those facing food crisis or emergency are internally displaced persons.
My most important message actually today would be that while saving lives and livelihoods continues to be very important, we must simultaneously also address underlying causes. Most of the underlying causes of Somalia's protracted crisis remain unresolved, and the sobering reality is that any shock could plunge Somalia into another devastating emergency. We therefore need to ensure that the critical vulnerability levels are brought down and that we reduce the risk of having far too many people slide back into crisis.
Findings by the UN further indicate that nearly 215,000 children aged under 5 are acutely malnourished, of whom almost 40,000 are severely malnourished and face a high risk of disease and death.
Malnutrition continues to be pervasive, and the situation is currently getting worse. Malnutrition rates, in fact, are going to increase before the end of the year due to below average cereal production and poor rainfall in sub-pastoral and agro-pastoral areas. Trade disruption, of course, in the most conflict-affected areas, and continued displacement, as I already referred to.
The Food and Agriculture Organization in Somalia has also warned of flooding in the coming months due to the El Nino phenomenon likely to severely affect Somalia.
There's two major things we can do. I think one is to minimize the extent of flooding. So there's a lot of work going on now as we speak, particularly in the Shabelle area, along the Shabelle River, to reinforce riverbanks, etc., to put sandbags along the barrages, etc. That will just reduce the amount of flooding that actually takes place. Similarly, providing farmers with very simple kits that will allow them to build platforms to protect their seeds and their grain above the floodwaters.
The periodic assessment is conducted twice a year by the Food Security and Nutrition Analysis Unit and the Famine Early Warning System Network for Somalia, managed by the Food and Agriculture Organization in collaboration with various technical partners and governments.